We've made it to an island in South Asia that has been colonized 3 times. But the people are so kind and the food is so good. I'm Chloe Jade, and today we're in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is the 114th country that I've visited on my quest to every country in the world.
We're on a mission to get to Kandy now. So because we wanted to get to Kandy immediately, we didn't want to wait for a train to come for the same price as getting to town and then taking the train. We are paying just to take a taxi there.
But first, what do we need for any road trip? Snacks, of course.
This? No, that's too big. That's too big.
Once Dilara finally settled on a type of dried chickpeas to take in the car, we were off. We agreed on a price of $50 for the 3-hour journey. The lion in the flag symbolizes the Sinhalese ethnicity, and the leaves in the corners symbolize the 4 virtues of Buddhism. Sri Lanka is a beautiful country covered in rainforests, tea plantations, beaches, fruit, and plenty of spices. Buddhism was first brought to Sri Lanka by a mission sent out from eastern India in the 2nd century BC. Now, 70.2% of the population of Sri Lanka identifies as Buddhist. Although we had landed in Colombo, I wanted to get to Kandy directly. Once we arrived, we got to our hotel, Kandy Hills. It ranges anywhere from $35 to $50 per night, and we were definitely happy with our choice. Immediately we set our things down and we found a tuk-tuk outside. We met a driver named Mihal. Little did I know that this man would become a very important person in our trip through Sri Lanka. We had asked him to take us to his favorite restaurant, and on the way he was stopping and showing us different things. But when we got to the restaurant, he didn't just stay outside and let us go in and leave us there. No, he wanted to take us in, show us what we should get, and show us the ropes. This immediately gave me a very positive feeling when it came to the people of Sri Lanka. He did not have to do this. This was not part of his job. He was just doing this out of the goodness of his heart to make sure that we got the best stuff. Gazing at all the food, he showed us what was vegetarian and what wasn't.
Please notice spicy, okay?
Plus, the first question that any Sri Lankan is going to ask you is, do you like spicy? I personally do, but Dilara does not. We ended up ordering a few different dishes and curries.
So we have rice, and then we have dal, which is lentils, beans, pumpkin curry, and I think it's salad.
I would come to find out later that this was called a gotu-gola salad.
That's spicy.
Typically, Sri Lankan food is eaten with the hands.
I can't do dal with my hands. I can do it, but I can't do it on camera.
And let's be honest, no one wants to see that. I would say I'm not bad, but I'm not super skilled at it either. Now, lentils are not my favorite food in the world, but the dal was good. Now, if you can't tell by my hand motions, I really enjoyed this.
I really like that one. Interesting salad.
This is gotu-gola salad, and it ended up being our favorite thing in Sri Lanka.
This looks very spicy.
And little did I know what would happen next.
Let's try it.
Now, I cannot say if for sure what happened next was because of this.
It's actually kind of sweet.
Or so it seemed. A few moments later, I was dying.
Okay, I need to put a full chili pepper.
Like I said, I don't know if it was that or maybe a green chili, but something was setting me on fire. To the point that I don't know if it was because I was just on a plane, but I was actually feeling dizzy. I had to ask for the other water because I had finished this one. Okay, lesson learned, don't mess with Sri Lankan chilies.
What do you think it was?
Probably a chili, Dilara. Meanwhile,
You like it?
The salad is bomb. The rest is a bit spicy.
I honestly don't even think she had a pepper, but okay. We paid and it was time to get out of there and explore Kandy. Mihal had been waiting for us, and we set off to find Big Buddha. It's very common in Sri Lankan temples to have to take off your shoes. If this bothers you, then definitely bring a pair of socks with you, but it doesn't bother me. This is the room that you leave your shoes in, and there's usually someone that sits there and watches all of the shoes. Now it was time to climb the steps to the Big Buddha.
So this is the 2nd tallest Buddha in all of Sri Lanka. It is 88 feet tall. Let's go explore.
I mentioned that Sri Lankans are 70.2% Buddhist, but 12.6% are Hindus, 9.7% are Muslims, and 7.4% are Christians. Hello. Oh, yeah. One way that I've noticed that you can tell that the people in a country are inherently kind is how the street animals act towards random people. If they are friendly like this, it means generally that the people around them treat them very well. As we continued to walk up Big Buddha, I realized that there were a lot of stairs. When we finally reached the top, there was a monk there, and I was in awe at the sheer size of this Buddha head. Underneath the Buddha, there is a temple. All of the color that you see on the ceiling has been painted with paint dyed by fruit and flowers. There were also depictions of Buddha in various stages of his life. But now it's time for us to leave because we have to go do something really cool.
Now we're going to, it costs us about 30 minutes outside. Get the village.
magically like that, we got to the hotel and somebody else picked us up. You may have already seen a preview of this in my shorts, because right now we're going to go get the supplies at the market, and then later we're going to cook with 2 Sri Lankan aunties. Any of the market scenes are going to be pretty loud because there was a lot of talking and yelling at the market. But personally, I love the energy of markets. There's so much vibrance, and you can learn so much about a country by going to its market. These are betel leaves used in pan. They're extremely popular to chew with betel nut, tobacco, dehydrated lime, areca nut, and there are so many different types of pan, but I'll get into that in a different video. The produce at this market was so fresh, and people were constantly saying hello. Everybody was very, very friendly, which is not always the case when foreigners are coming into a market. I think it's because foreigners can feel invasive, but I felt super welcomed here. Sudesh had written our list out, and obviously I can't read this, but it was cool to look at. As we wandered through the market, I started hearing the voices get a bit louder, and it started raining. However, although it was a bit chaotic, there was also a calmity in that chaos. One thing that stuck out to me in this market was that they were still using these old type of scales to weigh all the vegetables. I love this because it means that you are getting an accurate price and an accurate weigh on everything that you are buying. All of the vendors would stand over their vegetables and yell out different prices or why their products were better than others. It was almost like an auction market, except nothing was being auctioned off. You would not believe, but this is a loofah. Yep, the kind that you rub on your body and use in the shower. But you can also cook this and eat it.
This is super
Now I think we can understand how loud it was at this market.
You can guess.
All of a sudden, this man gave us some leaves and told us to guess what they were.
Fish, I have no idea.
I also had no idea.
Curry leaves.
When I taste it, I can tell.
I stood there for a minute and just took in the whole market. I looked at everything going on with everybody moving around. Then I had a conversation with this avocado salesman about how people come back to their vendor every day and they are super loyal. Now it was time to leave all of our bags on the ground and hope that they were there when we came back.
Going with some fruit. So excited at the fruit. It looks amazing. Like, look at those mangoes. That's insane.
The only concern was that I no longer saw the prices on the produce.
It smells so good.
If you've ever tried mangosteen, you know that they are literally the best thing on the earth. This man was quoting us such a crazy price for these mangosteen, but we paid it because they're so good.
So we just left all of our stuff on the ground here and nobody took it or picked it up or anything like that. So I find that very impressive.
I really cannot tell you one country where I would feel comfortable leaving all of my groceries on the ground and not be worried that somebody would pick them up. I don't know how we got all of these groceries and ourselves in this tuk-tuk, but we did it. And the ride back to the village was a little bumpier than the one on the way. Not only was it raining, but the roads were definitely more bumpy and it was a really fun ride all in all. But in total, this was about a 30-minute ride. My first thoughts arriving at Suresh's home was that it was so calm. This is when I met Nandani. Although typically I would address her as auntie, today she is Chef Nandani, and we're here to learn how to make typical Sri Lankan dishes. First off, the lights were off. Second off, there was no Wi-Fi except for this weird network. We didn't need Wi-Fi, I just thought the network name was weird. Auntie gave us some tea, and I had no idea what we were about to be in store for. It was at that moment we walked to the kitchen and it was time to learn about what we were going to be doing. There were a bunch of lit candles and there was a wood-burning fire and a bunch of spices were out.
Love the stuff we bought today at the market.
I learned that the candles were lit to show us what it used to be like when Nandani was growing up and learning how to cook.
Wood burn.
She then began blowing out all of the candles because she said we needed a lot of light.
And I told this here, this one, Goraka.
Goraka.
Yes. And for fish curry.
Now she wanted to test us on if we knew what different spices were.
Curry.
Curry powder.
Yeah.
This one same roasted curry powder.
So we just picked 5 vegetables and we're gonna make our food with it. So we picked the 5 different ones that we're gonna put in our curry.
But first, it was time for us to make a snack. Now, I thought that this was just a very sweet gesture, but in reality, we were about to cook for almost 4 hours, so we needed something to eat. It's like the cross between a green papaya, a green mango, and an apple. She then mixed up a bunch of spices, some water and lime, and almost made this tahini-like spice into a dip for us to dip this into. It was so, so good. But I had no idea what was coming next.
I want broken like this. Have here 3 eggs.
This was me thinking she was going to cut the coconut, but little did I know she was showing me how I was going to crack open this coconut. The smile on her face says it all.
On the line.
No, like this.
Okay, across the line.
I have to say I panicked, so I just started hitting it as fast as I could.
Oh my god, I'm so scared.
I think she also panicked a little bit at this point.
Is it normal? You have to hit it many times?
But we finally got it drained, even though it wasn't totally cracked open, and I'm not sure why I had such an issue. Honestly though, this is when I started bonding with Nandani, and I could tell we were about to have even more fun.
We get it all? No. I think I gotta hit it one more time.
No.
And she also realized that I am batshit crazy. Nevertheless, it was time to take that coconut inside. Obviously, I had to taste it first, drink some of the water, which was very sweet, and make some coconut milk. But first they brought out this, what seemed to be a torture device. In reality, it's a stool and it has this spindle on the edge that is extremely sharp, but you take the coconut and you essentially grate it on that sharp point at the end.
Now I'm gonna grate the coconut and I have to spin it around so that it continues to go. Let's see if I can do it. I think it's going to hurt.
I was far too overconfident when I began doing this because this is not an easy task. You really require a certain hand motion. So Yasani came and helped me out and showed me how to do it a little bit better, but it took a little bit of getting used to. I also realized that women are supposed to sit with 2 legs to the left, and that is a lot harder than putting both legs over it. But men are only supposed to sit with their legs open, which I guess makes sense, considering Sri Lanka is a slightly conservative country. I did get a little casualty injury, but it wasn't too bad. And we finished grating all of the coconut. But I have to show you this. Have you ever heard of a loofah? Well, it's edible, but you can also use it after you dry it in the shower. I never realized this was a vegetable. This is how you make coconut milk. You take water and you pour it in your grated coconut, enough to cover the coconut. And then all you're gonna do is just squeeze it out. Squeeze out all of that white and make sure that the water is tainted with white.
Squirting everywhere.
And anything, everything put here.
Yeah?
Yes. All, everything. Yes. Yeah.
Coconut milk, la 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 la.
As you can see, we have 2 different types of coconut milk here. First wash and the second wash. Use the same coconut to do the first and the second wash. This gives you a stronger and a less strong version of the coconut milk. We'll soon learn that they are used for different things.
Kelawala. Very good.
Kelawala.
Very good. Yes.
Looks good.
Yes. Half a spoon.
Okay.
Quarter spoon. Less. Tiny bit.
Personally, I found these all to be very similar measurements, and every single time that I would put a spoonful in, she would tell me, no, a little bit more, or oh, no, a little bit less. I just think these measurements come naturally to her because she's done it so many times. So it's something that you just have to repeat over and over again until you know by your eye.
We put Goraka.
Gorapa.
Kamboj. Goraka.
Goraka.
Yes.
We're putting the finishing touches on our fish curry. I've had some people asking me in the comments on my shorts if it's possible to do this completely vegetarian, and yes, the only difference would be no fish. I'm also going to add the WhatsApp details so that you can book this if you'd like to. It's a really awesome experience, and I highly recommend supporting them because it is a locally owned business, and not only will you have a great time, but you will eat some amazing food too. One of the last things that we have to do now is to wash the lentils and wash the rice to get them ready for cooking. You might be able to see that that's a rice cooker right there. And yes, we are going to use a rice cooker just to make it a little bit faster. So we don't have a ton of burners here, but we're not just cooking the rice. We have to add a bunch of spices first.
Candle leaves, cinnamon, and cloves, and cardamom.
Nice.
Okay. Twenty, 25 minutes between, finish.
Wow, I feel so accomplished.
Check. Enough salt. Enough salt.
Yes, okay.
Put
Okay. Now we're putting the second coconut milk in the pumpkin because
Okay.
it's hard.
so good.
It's a hard vegetable.
When quizzed on this before, I got it wrong, so that explains the look on my face.
We're putting 1 full spoon of first milk to the soft vegetable.
And little bit more, little.
Little bit more.
Either she loved to tell us what to do or we sucked at measuring because we never got to just stop at the first spoon that we put in. She's so funny. Also, apparently it's normal to just completely scald your hand every time you taste your curry before eating it.
Put here. All put like this.
Awesome.
This was probably my favorite thing that we had. It was eggplant, but they were seasoned and then fried like french fries. They were so good. We didn't have too many fried things like this, so generally it was pretty healthy. And you guess what we're making now? I had no idea what we were doing. I knew that we were caramelizing the sugar. And then eventually we added some coconut to the caramelization, some water, and we knew that we were making a dessert because it was sweet. I wish that you could smell this through the computer or your phone because it's so good. Basically what we're making is roti, which is a sweet pancake. I've never actually seen it made in this specific form, but I guess this is a way that more people make it at home, but when you buy it on the street, it looks a little bit different. I love that pancakes are one thing that kind of transcends country location. At one point, all countries were just deciding how to make pancakes. They had sugar, milk, and flour.
Ready?
Yeah.
Good try, good try.
As you can see, I was super excited, and then Dilara suddenly comes in and just steals my thunder and actually does an amazing flip. So typical of her. Now took that caramelized filling and we put it inside of the pancake and we rolled it up.
Yes.
Oh, it's hot. Hot. Ta-da!
We're finally finished with everything. Let me walk you through everything we made.
Rice, fish curry, dal, lentils, loofah, cooked loofah, potato, also known as ala, carrot, pumpkin, eggplant, but it had a special name.
Yes, brinjal moju.
Binjal moju.
Yes.
Binjal moju. Egg.
Gotukala sambal.
Gotukala sambal. Papadam.
Pancake.
Pancake. Roti. Ta-da.
Now, traditionally, a family would not make all of these curries and all of these dishes in one night. They do more like 3 or 4 max. But
Since it's a special.
now, even if you can't travel to Sri Lanka yourself, I would recommend trying to make these dishes or just trying some Sri Lankan food.
Well, everything is so good. Like, yum.
But alas, it was time to say goodbye. What an amazing experience. And I will put the information for how to go to this cooking class in the description. We awoke to the sounds of Kandy below. Michal had done such a great job the day before that we decided to work with him again today and take him up on driving us all the way to Ella. Our first stop was a spice garden. Now, if you read the reviews online of this place, it basically says that it's a scam. But I was here and I was very happy to learn about Ayurvedic medicine. Everything in this spice garden is organic. It's been growing here since the 1980s. Everything in this garden is used for a purpose in Ayurvedic medicine. There's cinnamon trees, sandalwood, green, red, white pepper, and of course, ginseng, which we were told is almost like natural Viagra. But then again, almost everything we saw, he basically told us was being used as natural Viagra. Probably the coolest thing here though was the pink pineapple, which they use for weight loss when people get overweight. Now, this is actually a school, so this is a student who's here to study Ayurvedic medicine. I should mention that this entire experience is totally free. And up next, they decided to give us some free food and a cooking demo as well.
Organic.
We were given another cup of healing tea. This is made from cinnamon and other spices and is known to be helpful in digestion. We sat down and we learned about all of the different things that grow on the property, how they're made into different medicines, and what they're all used for. We also got to test some of the healing products, like this for instance. And then they actually gave us free massages for 15 minutes. That went on for quite a while. I do understand why people may say this is a scam because at the very end they do sell all of their products and they are very high priced compared to other places that you might buy them. But all in all, we had a really good time at the Kandy Spice Walk and I recommend doing it. Over the next few hours, we stopped for tea, we saw a few beautiful waterfalls and saw some hilarious monkeys on the side of the road. Sri Lanka is a beautiful and very lush country. Because of the rain, it gets so green. Aside from hilarious monkeys, another thing that Sri Lanka is known for is its tea. Ceylon tea is actually from Sri Lanka. Ceylon is the name for Sri Lanka during colonial time. Tea was actually brought to Sri Lanka when the British were colonizing the country. This factory is called Damro. The owners are now Sri Lankan, but this factory was founded 170 years ago by the British. The workers who pick the tea in Sri Lanka are women, and they must collect 20 kilograms per day. They are overworked and paid terrible salaries. Essentially, they make 800 rupees per day, which is 5 times less than a normal salary. These machines can crush 250 kilograms of leaves in 20 minutes, and afterwards they ferment the black tea for 3 hours to generate the caffeine. After seeing how the tea was made, of course, we had to try some of the tea. Now, I did not realize that you could make this many types of tea from the same leaf, and these leaves literally just look like any other leaves in your garden. We sat down with Michal, we had some tea, and of course some tea cake.
We're up and we're heading to the railway station from Ella to Colombo.
Because there's just no morning that can go absolutely perfectly smoothly, we ran into a few hiccups, but eventually we did get to the train station before it opened. I did buy our tickets online ahead of time. They were $12 each, and I think that was very helpful because we wanted to be in first class because it's a 9.5-hour train journey. The dogs at the station were so loving and so friendly. I'm telling you, there is no reason to ever be afraid of any dog in Sri Lanka because they are all so sweet and so well taken care of. This train goes from Ella to Colombo. There is also a very common train ride that people go on that is known to be beautiful. That is from Ella to Badula. That train is much shorter, but we needed our train ride to be functional today. I saw the train coming and I could not help myself but get so excited for this train ride. I had been wanting to do this for so long. Although once I saw the step, I was like, oh, that's a little bit intimidating. I wonder how I'm going to be able to get up there with all of my stuff on my back. But if there's a will, there's a way, and thank you for all these people behind me patiently waiting while I put my stuff down and brought myself up onto the train. It was not the hardest thing that I've done, but it definitely didn't feel good on very little sleep. Little did I know, another challenge would be waiting for me as soon as I got on the train. Now, luckily, both foreigners and locals in Sri Lanka that I ran into were very kind and very nice because I had to take my time and find a way to squish this big backpack in the overhead compartment, and we couldn't even get the second one in. Now, at this point, the train was already way too loud, so I'm just going to have to tell you what I was saying here. But basically, we had to leave this one underneath our feet because there was no space above for it. These are the joys of traveling with a big backpack, though. You always have to figure out where to put it, and it never fits anywhere, but you always have a bunch of stuff, so it works. And finally got situated. My next order of business was figuring out how I was going to get that classic Sri Lankan train picture. If you're planning on going here, well, lucky for you because I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it, and it's not that difficult. But what I'm doing here is the wrong way to take this picture. Step 1, go to a car that is different from the person who is going to be taking your photo. Step 2, wait for the train to stop and practice hanging out of the train while it's barely moving or not moving at all. Because once the train actually starts moving, then you'll feel more confident, and I feel like it will be less dangerous, even though this is a pretty dangerous activity, so please be careful if you try this. You also need someone to take your photo or video, so like I was helping a random guy take his video, and I had to lean out of the window and take the video for him. It wasn't until after we took all of our photos and videos that I saw this sign, but oh well. A guy came by and he was selling samosa.
We have vegetable samosas and some other items that are vegetarian.
I think they're potato. Yummy.
So we got these samosas, and I think they're croquettes. 600 for like 6 of them, and they're all vegetarian, and it's super yummy.
Obviously, these are very heavily fried, but for some reason, these samosas are different than other ones that I've had. They are so buttery and so yummy. Now, I couldn't believe that these were my last few moments in Sri Lanka. Well, my last few hours anyway. We had brought some snacks, so we ate our snacks, and we just gazed out at the beautiful scenic route that we were taking. This train was really such a perfect end to a wonderful but quick trip in Sri Lanka. But all good things come to an end, and about 8.5 hours in, I was feeling the tiredness and I was done with the train ride. We also had a gaggle of kids crowding around us, and I think we were all ready to get off that train.
Finally leaving the 9.5-hour train, and now we're gonna run to the airport.
The train station was actually incredibly chaotic. It was very dark, but somehow we found our way out and we got in a tuk-tuk to the airport.
We made it to the airport. Goodbye, Sri Lanka. You've been good to us.
Thank you so much for going on this Sri Lankan journey with me. I'd love to know what your favorite part of the video is. So please comment that or any questions that you have down below. Where do you think I'm going next?